Hi everyone, and welcome to the RetroGen podcast, where we talk about films and other little tidbits like that. Today with me, I have Joshua Morrison from Morrison Productions. How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing alright, yeah.
So, what is it you do at Morrison Productions?
We, essentially what it started off as is, when you go to college for media, because I think you've gone to college for media, I've gone to college for media. If you're watching this and you care about film to this sort of degree where you're listening to podcasts about it on the regular, you probably might have at least been to it a bit. And what I've noticed is that everyone at college starts their own little production company. Everybody does it. So I did mine. It's Morrison Productions. And I've stuck with it since. Started off uploading just YouTube and stuff like that, just making little video essays. I really liked the YouTube channel I Hate Everything. And now we do films, bigger films, weird films, music videos, soundtracks, and gonna be trying to branch into some new stuff after that, some weird stuff. Yeah.
Oh, weird, that's what we like to hear. But we're to talk about one of those films, aren't we?
Yeah, one in particular.
Yeah. Scorched Earth, which is a co-production between Morrison Productions and RetroGen Media, which, hello. So about that, I guess, because we co-directed it, or co-produced it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the sort of thing, every time you got a film, it's got to be someone's baby, and I feel like Scorched Earth was your baby. And you need the person whose baby it is, and you need the person whose baby it isn't. So that person whose baby it isn't can sort of help guide the person whose baby it is. You know, it's like how you've got a pregnant woman, and then you've got the dad. Not saying you are a woman, but you were the one that was pregnant with Scorched Earth, and now you're about to give birth to it. I have a thing. Maybe it's weird, but I see making a film and being the one that's the creative lead in that sense, which I would say you were. You were the one that was making the creative decisions for the most part. I just sort of chipped in for a little thing, and I'd always put it past you. I'd never say like, "Oh, let's do it like that," and that's how it's going to be done. Because it's at the end of the day, you're the one that knows exactly what Gylian is what he's going through in her old head, and exactly what Cairo's going through in his little head, and Claire and Xander and all the rest of them. They're your people.
Well, I mean,
they live in your head more than mine. I've got heads of another film which I won't talk about yet.
Yes, but no, I couldn't do it without you really. Like, I mean, we go more into it. I felt it's probably now would be a good time just to say what exactly the film is. Scorched Earth, post-apocalyptic sort of film where all the water has become radioactive. Well, almost all of it, like. Stuff you find in the wild, all the stuff in the pipes. It's no longer safe to drink, and that's put society into chaos. And that's the general premise. The film follows a mother trying to sort of like find her daughter's like sick because of the water, that she has radiation poisoning, and she's trying to find the medication to help. She comes across a safe refuge of someone who's like quite hostile towards her, called Cairo, and someone who's like more caring, called Claire.
No.
And that sort of like is the spark of the adventure there.
I'm forgetting the key ingredient there, Max. Max is brilliant. You need Max.
Oh well, I mean. Yeah.
Is it a thing that you're like Cairo's son and Claire's son? Because it's never exactly said verbatim, but it feels kind of assumed because they've got a little bit of a thing going on.
I'll be honest, I never thought about it. Even writing it, I didn't think of that. I just thought Max was like someone else to be there. Yeah.
Because you're certainly like the comedic relief to a degree. Not obviously more than that, but. You provide some of the funniest moments of Scorched Earth.
Yeah, I didn't mean for that, but I mean, if that's how it came across.
Oh, I love it.
Just saying when like coming up with it, we talk about like the analogy of like pregnancy. We talk about like the conception of the idea, I'll be honest, it was 2019. It's 2019, and sort of you read things about like probes and space missions and how they're gonna like if there's gonna be a colony on say the moon or Mars. The one thing you need, the one thing you can't do anything without, is water. All right, yeah, oxygen and like I'm trying to make your own food as well, but
you want your characters to live long enough to make a film out of them.
True that, yeah. I mean, it'd be a short film otherwise, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be. Did it start off as a short film, or was it always envisioned as a feature?
Oh no! It was originally sort of completely different. It was originally going to be a sort of like a 3-part web series.
Oh yeah.
Where one episode following a character who's like a survivalist nomad type who sort of like recycles all like his water and that. The second one was like following a woman who through as the apocalypse goes through, she loses everyone like she cares about, like her child, her husband, and the other one was going to be someone who was like stealing things from other people in order to survive. Now, I'm saying that to you.
I'm seeing a pattern there.
Yeah.
That I understand. If you haven't watched the film, then go watch the film now.
Yes.
Is the film out yet?
It will be when this is.
Okay, well, go watch the film now.
The description.
Yeah.
But
it's good.
I mean, that's what it started off as, and sort of like worked it, and I'll be honest, it didn't really like jam very well, and I just started to play around, and then I made it into like sort of like a long sort of like bullet point list, and I put it to one side, put it in like a Google Docs folder, and sometime after that we were filming your film.
Oh yeah, Sheffield Psychedelic, which that's not out yet, but somehow we managed to film his film, and that one's coming out first. And
wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
It was yeah. Can I say mental? Is that a bad word? If it is, I'm sorry, bleep it out. But basically, it was proper mental. On the 5th day, you came to me, right? And it was after a very long shooting day, and we had the end in sight because we did a big 6-day long block, right, of filming.
That was fun.
It was ridiculous.
Mad. It was crazy, but it was fun.
But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm assuming in your head here, but you saw what was going on there and thought, I could do this, but for Scorched.
I'll be honest, yeah, because I hadn't filmed a lot since before that, because of like circumstances out of one's control. Let's just say, I think you could put 2 and 2 together. But just looking at it and think, hold on, there, there's this whole thing. It can be done. It can be done. Like all bits and pieces and that. We're just sort of like, after a long day, you just start like talking, and after like you've been in the trenches like for a few days, you get that bond, and you just sort of like talking casually, and I sort of like ended up pitching the idea to you.
Yeah, I remember it. We were at Rotherham, and we were filming long days. Right, we got back and we were dead tired. Pardon me, I'm very sorry if that microphone called that up. But we were very, very tired, and Jethro came up to me and said, got this idea for a film. And I went, yeah, what is it? Because you were doing work for me. You were my DP on that. You were the one creating the little shots and stuff, and coming up with the stuff that I couldn't figure out, and that's what was working really well. But we were both cameramen on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you came up to me and you pitched me the idea. I said, that sounds like a really good idea. And I said, I want to make that happen. I want that to happen. I want it to be done. And to my great surprise, not because I get a lot of people coming up to me and saying, I want to make a film about this. I want to make a horror film about people in the jungle going lost, or I want to make a romantic comedy about people that live in a psychiatric ward, stuff like that. And then you think, yeah, and then it never gets made. But there's only a couple times where it's ever actually gotten made, and yours is one of them. And I had a sense that you were the type, you were a doer as opposed to a talker, and you proved that.
I mean,
not 2 months later, you started coming to me and saying, right, we're going to do this and this and this specifics. You got me the giant Google Doc Drive folder of all different aspects of the film, all the different possible locations that we could be using. That was about a 30-page document, that. just of lists of locations on Google Maps that you'd be pinpointed and gone, we should film there, or we should film there, or there's a parking spot there, because we dealt with parking situations working on the other film that.
Yeah.
And I think it was certainly a learning experience, that film, that I sort of that was my baby, and I'm trying not to do any self-promotion here, because I'm not really about that. But this film ended up coming about in my eyes as like a learning experience. Like, that was the prototype, and Scorched was the finished, fully realised thing. And honestly, I have to say that Scorched is it's a very, very good film. It's incredibly well put together. I've been watching, because we're recording this before, obviously, so the film isn't actually out when we're talking about it, but be out when you're hearing us talk about it. So I've watched cuts of Scorched Earth, and I watched all the way through it, right? And Morgana, my wife, she started watching it with me about half an hour in, and then right as we finished, we went straight back to the beginning. And then it was only to watch the first half an hour again so that Morgana could keep up and figure out what was going on in the first half. But we watched the whole film again, twice in one night. I don't do that with some of my favourite films. My favourite films before sunrise, right? I've never watched it twice in a day. So he's beat me, I'd say. And that's not just to, I don't want to sit here and go, oh, this film is really good, and by the way, the link's in the description, you should go watch it and give us money, blah, 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 blah.
Well, that as well.
That's not what this is about. What this is about, the fact that you can make your dreams come true by just going forwards constantly and pushing through the debris constantly. We had so many things that made it feel like this wasn't actually going to happen, that circumstances in our own lives came up, and at the end of the day, once you actually get onto the location and start going, right, we're doing this thing that's specific and this thing specific, whereas before you were just talking more in vagaries, like both of us, we'd be saying, oh, this would be good if Oppenheimer was like this, or wouldn't it be cool if Xander had an eye patch or whatever, and then you get there and then Xander is played by someone that wasn't originally in your head. I mean, I'm not saying that it's just an example, right? That person wasn't in your head originally, and now they're exemplifying the character in a way that you could never have imagined before. And it's to the film's benefit, because film, it's not like writing a book where the author sits down, goes, once upon a time there was a lad in Scorched Earth, and he went over and he started collecting minerals, and he sold those minerals off to a bloke who ran a human trafficking firm, right? No, that's not really how it works. You got to have the guy who writes that, then the guy who goes, right, how are we going to get the human trafficking firm? And then you got to get the guy who goes, what are we going to dress the human trafficking firm in? And then you got to get the location manager who goes, oh, are we going to have the location? Are we going to have the human trafficking firm? We're going to have it in Canterbury. We're going to have it in Derbyshire. We're going to have it in North Dakota. We weren't going to have it in North Dakota. We don't have enough money, and that's something else we want to get onto, isn't it?
Yeah, like all these things that often are done by a massive crew or like different departments is mainly done by like us. Really, like we had help from other people, like definitely, like thanks very much for those. But yeah, oftentimes with like really low budget stuff, where like the book stops very much at us. And you say that, well, I mean I've pushed it through, but again, like looking at say when you did Sheffield Psychedelic, it was more of like these people can do it, because I thought the same about you, that there are lots of people that say want to do it, but there are a few people who do. And I mean, I'll be honest, there are many films that I write or say I want to do, I don't end up doing.
Yeah, same.
But there are a few that I do, and I just want to. Like,
I've got a really mature sense of humour, but I know exactly what you mean with that. I think it's a case of the grass is green on the other side of everything. I mean, you always put yourself in someone else's shoes and think, wow, they're really good. But then I don't see the worst stages of your life, and you don't see the worst stages of my life,
Yeah, so
you don't see the bits of my life that I don't put out for the camera.
It's like social media, like everything's all like made all like sexy and like pretty, and like everyone puts the best foot forward. They don't put like
mine is just pictures of snails and stuff.
But still, you're not gonna like share your worst and most traumatic moments on online, are you? I mean,
Not yet, anyway.
Well,
Give it.
I think you're an anomaly. I think we've discovered that, but most people don't put up their their insecurities and their sort of like shortcomings online.
No, and that's the biggest problem. You know, we always say, oh, these young people, they're really good at showing off mental health. But if anything, why are there more depressed people now than there were, 50 years ago? You know, you might say, oh, well, they didn't really understand what depression was back then, so no one really got the diagnosis. But then you look at the people then. You know, I've heard stories from my grandparents, from my parents, from other just general old people, and they always talk about everything in this super, much more happy sense. And that's probably quite a naive thing to say, to be honest. But at the end of the day, that's just, you dilute all of the worst stuff out of what you want. And that's, I feel like, what ends up happening with social media. I don't want this to just be a thing we're moaning about, oh, the internet, I've got to go on Twitter to be able to bump my numbers up, because it's what you got to do at the end of the day. You do what you have to do. That's why I'm here. I mean,
you are an outlier when it comes to like the whole Generation Z, like the Zoomers thing. You are an outlier.
I don't feel like I am. I feel like I'm just the only one that hates all of this that actually still bothers to go on it.
That's why you're an outlier.
Yeah. Well, there's others, but I'm talking about actually. There's not many that hate podcasts that go on podcasts. I don't listen to that many podcasts, to be honest. But I used to listen to loads of audiobooks, but I packed that in because they're just too long. And that's why, I'll be honest, I don't actually watch many movies. I don't watch movies all that often. I might watch a movie once a month. And if you're making movies and if you're a movie director, blah, 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 it's meant to be, you should know this random French New Wave film or this German expressionist film from the 1930s. I don't know any of that. I watched a Jean-Luc Godard film. It was, is it Knife in the Water? I think it is. Basically, it's rubbish, and I might like it later on and look back at this now and go, oh god, I can't believe I said it was rubbish. But I had to turn it off 45 minutes in, which probably was just before it started getting good. But it's just people wandering around and nothing happens. And I might be a total hypocrite because nothing really happens in my films, but it wasn't funny about it or entertaining about it. It's just, look at the fact that we can do this one shot going down this road with these people driving. We do it all in one take. Cut it up. And that's one good thing about low budget now, is we can do stuff we couldn't do back then. They did the best of what they could have done, but we have multiple cameras. When we're done with this, we've only got the one camera. But on Scorched Earth and on Sheffield Psychedelic and Connie Lynn, which is a totally different film that you might have seen on another podcast. I don't know which one's coming out first, but there's more podcasts coming out. Basically, you have multiple cameras all filming the same thing. You can get the same take from multiple angles, get the best out of performances. You can get things that you could never capture before, and you can get cuts that are so smooth that you could never understand them. You can get whole scenes in half an hour.
And yeah, it saves time. And honestly, we didn't have like an AD per se, but if we did have an AD, they would love us.
That's the point about us. You said, we kind of, the buck stops with us sort of thing. We had 2 blocks of Scorched Earth, right? We had one block in late September, we had one block in early October, and then maybe a 2-week gap in between. The second block, we had a runner, a guy called Thomas, and he was...
Oh, that made things a lot smoother.
He made...
We didn't know what we were missing in the first one.
He was like Jesus Christ being sent down from the Lord to gift us with all the knowledge of sanctity of what runners can do. I've been lugging around massive, about 3 backpacks, and you just go, do you want me to carry about 50 things? And I go, no, I don't worry about it, I'll carry it all. And you go, no, it's my job.
Yeah, you feel bad, don't you?
Yeah, and then you go, do you want anything down the shop? I was thinking of doing a shop run for you all. And on the first block, I was always terrified that, one of the actors might pipe up and go, I'm really thirsty, I like my mouth's getting dry and we have no water sort of thing, or we've run out of water, and Scorched Earth would happen for real.
Oh.
But, with this, because the first block, when we go into the woods, we felt like we were trapped in the woods. The second one, he's like our key back to civilization. And I'll tell you this, if you're thinking of making films on that, right, don't worry about getting the fanciest new camera. Get a runner, right? Find someone who is interested in your film, who wants to do it, and just say, do you want to be a runner? It's a great experience and that. And if they say yes, perfect. If they say no, find someone who will say yes. And it will make everything so much better, honestly. Because once things run smoother in real life, things go smoother in the film. You can sense when we were stressed out in certain scenes, you know, and when we were short for time. Because it's right there. It's in the fact that maybe the cuts aren't as frequent, or it's in there in the fact that maybe the audio quality dips down. And we, for instance, and this isn't just a thing with low budget films. Every film has bad audio, right? I've got these. These are Sony dynamic headphones. They look fancy, but they were £70, right? And these are the headphones that Matt and Alex, the sound guys from my film, Sheffield Psychedelic, they use these, right? And now those guys are onto amazing, amazing things. I don't want to mention what those are specifically, but they are onto good stuff, right? I was telling them they should be like working on Avengers, not on this, right? And now they are working on the equivalent of that, right? Use those Sony headphones because it gets rid of all the external noises and it shows you exactly what the sound is. I watched Dark City, right, with these headphones. It's like the thing that people say is kind of like the Matrix before the Matrix. It's better than the Matrix, by the way.
I haven't seen it.
It's good. I'm not going to spoil it, by the way, or anything, because if you haven't seen it, go watch it, but watch the rest of this first, right? There's one scene in it which is it's a bar scene, right? And the sound just becomes awful. It becomes so bad. It becomes almost unlistenable. It's noisy. It's grainy. The voices are hard to decipher. And they try to brighten it up with a song, but you can hear all the noise in between. It's awful, and it sounds so bad. And you wonder, this is a film with God knows what budget. I haven't researched it exactly for this, but it's an expensive film, right? You watch it, it's got big actors in it, it's an expensive film, and it's got audio like that. We've got better audio than that scene, right? Much better audio. Throughout the entire film, we had a guy called Paul, he was really good. He was really, really good at what he did, right?
I don't know how he put up with us.
I really don't know either.
Just going through it like in the forest in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And just like, oh yeah, it'll be alright.
I don't understand why. It really freaks me out, to be honest, with this low budget film, because we are very, very low budget. I don't know if you want to talk about the specifics of the budget, but the fact is we were low. We were low on cash. We're not millionaires. We don't have large inheritance funds. We're not trust fund babies.
No.
You know,
wish we were, but I mean,
we're in my granddad's house right now, right? You know, we're not on a studio. Look at the wallpaper. Look at this curtain, right? This is what we are, and that's basically it. We're, I'd say, lower middle class, pretty much, right? And that enables us to be able to just do what we want, take enough risks to the point where we can keep doing what we're doing instead of just grinding away at little jobs and stuff. And you know, you've got to do a bit of that, but you can work on these films in the meantime to build up a portfolio to then take to bigger sets. And I'm trying to get a career out of this. This isn't my career. I'm trying to get a career out of this. That's the point of this, for me at least.
No, I completely agree with what you're saying. Like, even I'd say, say if you're like us, like you're in your your late teens, your 20s or whatever, trying to get into film, or even older. Like, I don't believe that people would just start. Oh no, you're in your 30s, you haven't made up your mind. That's what I don't believe that. I think that's a load of rubbish, to be honest. That you can change and do other things that work whenever in life.
Agree.
But at the same time, I wouldn't let like your financial situation stop you. I know that sounds a bit odd, like saying that, but at the same time, if you can't afford like a £100,000 film, make one that's cheaper. If you can't if you don't have enough money for £10,000 film, don't make that.
Yeah.
You may want to, but make something that's like less, like that costs less, before you make more. Because you're gonna make mistakes. We made mistakes.
I think the important thing to mention as well is that Scorched Earth was not our big first project. You know, we both done very, very large amounts of work before this. We'd done, I'd say, a good 20-30 films between us, proper films, you know, not just really micro shorts and stuff like that, or little YouTube videos. We'd been around the works. We'd been on different film sets. We'd experienced incompetent directors. We'd experienced amazing directors. We took the lessons from the bad people and we got inspired by the good people. And took that little soup, put a little oregano in it, or oregano, or if that's how you want to pronounce it, and made the soup, and now here's the soup. We're offering it to you.
And that being said, that you are going to make mistakes. You're not. Did. Oh, definitely. Like we are people. You're a person. You're going to make mistakes. If you're a filmmaker and you make films, you have made a bad film. I don't care who you are, whether you're like, I don't know, like someone who's like in college who's, I don't know, got a film they're not too proud of, like unlisted on YouTube, whatever, or if you're a director of multi-million-dollar films. If you're a filmmaker, you've made a bad film.
Yep.
Now that sounds like negative and like push people. I'm not trying to say it to be like that. I'm saying don't let the fact that you have made something you're not too pleased with put you down. Because no, the fact that you recognise that a film you've made isn't the best means you are learning. You are learning from your mistakes, and that's the whole point of growth. And that the best time to do that is to do that with low budget stuff where the risk is minimal.
Yeah.
Which I know it's easy for some people to say. I know like some people's mileage may vary on this, but you kind of need to dip your toe into it, and sort of like experiment with things. I mean, just going back to the film here, that when people say like to make a film you need to make something that's like within your means. I don't know, make a drama or make something you can easily make.
Yep.
Now, personally, it's like, okay, I can make a drama, but if it's say like a generic drama about I don't know, people doing stuff and it doesn't have something about it, for me that's, I mean, yeah, but I want to make something that's a bit more flair. I think went completely like leapfrog that and went, okay, post-apocalyptic, how about we do that?
And it was easy enough to do. I mean, woods, they look a bit post-apocalyptic. Plenty of abandoned buildings that we found. And
that's the thing, that with an apocalypse, there's always a thing, isn't there? Like, say, if it's a zombie apocalypse, you've got the zombies. If it's alien invasion, you've got the aliens. Or you've got, like, the desiccated wasteland. The trick is to find an apocalypse-like concept that, okay, you want to get away from people, but you don't want to do too much to the environment in order to do it. That's making it cheaper. If we were doing like an alien invasion film or a zombie apocalypse film, you got all that makeup, you got all that, and it's just gonna like inflate the budget, which we didn't have.
A big part of our apocalypse with this, and so in that I was stressing quite a lot during the pre-production, was you know how in apocalypse movies you go into the people's safe house, right? And it's so dirty. There's dust everywhere. There's stuff falling from the ceiling. And you just think, look, I understand that you're all pretty sad, right? And some of you are quite ill. But can one of you not get a brush and sweep the floor? Can one of you not polish the worktops, you know? What's going on here? That's what I really wanted to make different. I wanted people that lived in fairly normal circumstances, just without electric, because obviously the electricity grid would go, without water, because obviously, you know, it's all radiated, and without easy access to food. But at the same time, if we didn't have those things, it's not like we would just start tearing all of this down. We just start crawling at the walls, you know, getting rid of all the wallpaper, just exposing the brick just for the sake of it. You know, what's happened there? You know, these are just houses. All the places that people live, I wanted them to feel lived in, and I wanted the people to feel like that they were surviving outside of what we were seeing. So if you ever saw a person, it was very important to me that you can imagine a spin-off short film about them. And it was also very important to me, I like to think we achieved it to a degree, not to as much of a degree as I would have liked, because I feel like basically what I wanted is, you know, in apocalypse movies, characters always make really stupid decisions. They always make really dumb decisions, and they act weird, and they act irrational, and they try and cover it up with all bits of human nature and all that. I wanted people to sit down and actually think through what they do. And I feel like they do. There's plenty of scenes where people actually sit down and honestly really go for it. And Cairo especially, I think, is the antithesis the exemplification of what I wanted with that. You know, absolutely, and I think we nailed it with that aspect of the film.
Yeah, and I know, like, saying you like scripts are like originally, and you like suggest like edits and or things to improve on, and even with the edits, and you send me notes on that. But yeah, it's good to have someone to bounce off of. Like,
so otherwise, you've got Star Wars prequels, haven't you?
You always need someone to bounce off your ideas with. But the first day, I remember the first day. Like, it's probably our slowest day because it's our we're trying to get into it.
Yeah.
We had a no-show. One of our actors didn't show up.
Yeah.
Which was like, oh no, this first day. Oh, everything's.
It could be taken as a bad omen, but we took it as a right. Let's push hard and hard and hard and see what we can get.
And you filled that gap. And I tell you what, you...
Oh, yeah, I played the role, didn't I?
Yeah, and you hit the ground. Like, it's like spoiler alert, but you probably should see the film, and it happens, like, before the halfway point anyway. But you get stabbed.
I survived, though.
What does he? But, no, you get stabbed, and we had that one take of, like, you coughing up blood and that.
Yeah.
At that point, I don't know how you did it, and I don't blame you at all for this, but you managed to blow like a little bubble.
Like bubblegum sort of thing.
It's more like, you know, when you clean in the dishes and you accidentally like blow like with a dishwasher. With a liquid, like when you blow a little bubble and it just floats about. It was literally that, and it just floated in front of your face for a while.
Yeah, my blood is. The thing is,
his blood's half soap.
Yeah.
He's got clean insides.
And I think it worked out because I think when you're doing it because we have a rapport with one another, he knows that I will sit in a house full of weird needles, leaves, smells of urine, and it's clearly been inhabited by people who took extreme opioids, right?
I'll do the same for you.
Right? He knows that I do that, you know? So I feel like I was able to add that stuff to the role. Whenever I try and go into a role, I try and let that happen. And that's the thing. Once you got the rapport, you can... I mean, doing that, if it was a big set, we would have needed a stunt coordinator. We would have needed someone to actually build the entire house for us and not just use some house that we found in the middle of nowhere that had been inhabited by people of not exactly the nicest odour, to put it lightly. Smell them for miles away, mate. Honestly, you could smell them for miles. Like, you know, and that sort of element adds to it. Because a lot of the time in low-budget movies, you can tell when they're trying to cheap out of something, right? You can tell when they're trying to cheap out of something because it cuts in a weird way, or, you know, it doesn't actually show it. You know, the gun, he's pointing the gun at the camera, points the gun at the camera, cuts to black. Yeah, great. We know he got shot. Show him getting shot. We showed people getting shot. You know?
Spoilers. But that's fine.
It's just like Call of Duty all over the shop, this film, trust me.
But
it's not.
It's almost like revenge for when you had me beaten up in your film.
Yeah, that was weird because it really freaked me out because this is when we were building our rapport, right? And
this was on the day that I pitched this to you as well.
Yeah,
like during the day of like filming, like for that. I pitched after a bit. Yeah.
He had to get beaten up by a bunch of guys, right, for a flashback thing. It was just a quick bit, right, maybe 10 seconds long, and he's just getting pummeled, right?
Yeah, he was absolutely sick of me by that point. He wanted to get his revenge on me.
I was watching it, and you were screaming in agony and stuff, and I was terrified that you were going to get up and be limping, and that you were going to go, I can't film anymore today, or whatever, or you know, I need a hospital or whatever. Then he just got up and was like, how'd that come out? You know, just complete nonchalant. And I realised, okay, that's perfect.
If you need someone to act like they're in pain, I'm right here. Like,
he's good at it. And once he gives birth to this film, you know, once you see him in labour,
I'm already feeling the kick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Let me hear that.
Nah, but yeah, we had Thomas, who was great. Paul was fantastic. We had Morgana, your wife, come in for makeup. Like, honestly, that she really like knocked it out of the park there.
Yeah.
It looked absolutely horrible.
It looked freaky, right?
It looked gross.
Also, it stuck to their faces for the whole day, and maybe it would just need a little touch up. And she was telling me actually the other day, right, that in big films they don't normally use that type of makeup. They use a different type of makeup. I don't remember the specific names of what they're called, right? But with that type of makeup, you need to get it changed every 5 minutes. You know, after every take, it needs to be redone essentially. But all because it looks 5% better, it needs to be done like that. Even though you use CGI for half the stuff now, anyway. With this, she slapped it on Charlotte's head, right? Or on Cairo's this. I'm making stuff up here, by the way. If you think that these are spoilers, if you're trying to go, ooh, what hit Charlotte over the head? You know, don't worry about it. Okay. My point is that using cheap stuff is sometimes quite good. I mean, for instance, and you're gonna need to do a quick thing with the sound. That is not meant to happen, right? I bet until now you thought that this sounded quite good, and I'm actually gonna have to check. I know I was making a really stupid point by doing that. I probably shouldn't have done that, but
has he wrecked it?
I haven't wrecked it.
Hey!
Yeah. My point is that until that point, you probably sat here looking at this thinking, oh, the sounds pretty good, you know? Sounds pretty good. Cool. This is a pretty well done podcast.
Josh did the sound for this. Thank you. Everyone say thank you, Josh.
Oh, don't thank me. Don't worry about it. I'm not the type.
Thank you, Josh.
Well, you know, just EQ.
And he's letting me borrow his camera as well. So, again, thank you for to Josh for that.
Well, he's let me borrow his lenses, and it's weird, right? Every time he does something for me, and I'm like, "Do you want a bit of money for this?" He goes, "No, you've done so much for me already." And I go, "What have I done?" Every single time.
What do you mean? What have you done?
Yeah, I just go,
What have you not done?
I don't know. Got stabbed for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I got you stabbed. You got me beat up. I mean, I think
that counts as even, doesn't
it?
Yeah. But with making, and there's so many people. If you want to get into thanking people,
Charlotte, who was an absolute trooper.
I'm kind of scared to do the whole thanking thing, because I know we'll forget someone.
We're definitely sit there and watch
it.
Honestly, if you're involved in the film, we love you and thank you very much for that. You have put with us for quite a bit.
Yeah, and our nonsense. Can we just have like a rolling scroll of just all the names? Just so that we don't have to sit here and list them all, because I can't remember everyone off the top of my head.
It'll be quicker to list who we shouldn't thank. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but I mean, if people not to thank, they weren't involved, so.
Well, that's a long list. That's about 7.5 billion people.
Yeah. No, wouldn't be quicker, would it? But
Tyler Smith, he wasn't involved. No thanks.
Barack Obama wasn't involved.
Yeah. Well, he was. I mean, he created the socio-political climate that led to the film being made. Not to say he caused an apocalypse, but I mean, butterfly effect.
All right, special thanks to Barack Obama for the social political climate that led to.
And thanks for supplying the voiceover to the whole film.
Obama.
Oh yeah, you haven't seen the latest edit.
Is Obama in it?
Obama is every character.
He
voices all the characters.
Emmy award-winning Barack Obama.
Yeah. Oh, getting slightly back on topic. We had so many weird experiences with filming this film, as you do, because it's rough and around the edges, you know, and you don't see the rough and around the edges in the final product. But when you're there, oftentimes you sort of sit there and go, "How is this gonna kind of go together? How's this gonna go together? What's this bit? Oh, you know." And then it just comes out. It sort of slots right into place really nicely. So I reckon what's really important, if you are some new bloke or woman or other that's watching this thinking, I want to make my first film, and I've made a couple, and I'm really actually genuinely ready to start on my debut feature, I reckon what's important is you can look expensive. You can look expensive, you know. This, you know, I'm going to pretend like it's worth £5,000. This jacket is a Burberry jacket, right? And it's worth £5,000. Do you believe me? If you stick it in black and white, maybe, or mess with the filters, maybe you can believe me. Or if you don't know about fashion, but point is, you can make stuff look expensive, and that was probably a really terrible example. But a good example, a very good example, is actually related to film. It's related to Scorched Earth, and it's so. After we were done, because me and Lee, who plays Cairo, came up north to do the filming, and we had an extra day. You went to work, we went around and we did some extra stuff, right?
Oh.
And we were driving along at night time, going to pick you up, and we came across this giant fire. Huge it was. It was like this house was on fire, and this is a larger house than you might think just based off the camera angle. It's big, right? There's a whole side to this house you're not seeing, and many sides. It's like that was on fire, right? So we pull up and we go, let's go film that. I feel like Jethro would rather wait and have this, right? So Lee Cairo didn't actually have the Cairo jacket on him, you know, the camo gear. But this, if you look at it, is kind of the same shape if you bring the collar up a bit. So what I did, he wears this, and I had to make sure to do it constantly as a silhouette so that you see this and think that it is the same jacket. But it's not, right?
I didn't realise that until months afterwards. It wasn't the same jacket.
Exactly. We got right up to the fire. Turns out it's some farmers burning manure. And I was really worried that... First I was worried I was going to get killed by a mama cow who was looking at me with really evil eyes because I was going near her babies. I was trying to avoid her babies, but her babies were in the way to the fire. I was trying to get past. I was just saying, look, I'm sorry I'm getting near you. Look, I'll be out your way in a sec, right? I'll jump over a fence and I go, hey! And they go, yeah, you burning something? And I go, yeah. And I go, can we come film it? And after about 10 seconds they go, yeah, alright. And I scream back to Lee, who sat by the car, drive up! Right? He drives up, and he doesn't actually know where to go, but he's just driving into a random driveway and figuring out where to go, right? He meets me at the fire. I've got the camera. I start filming the flames, and I'm talking to them, and they're really nice people. So I don't remember their names. I give them some special thanks, but we didn't jot their names down or anything. They're burning cow manure, and it's huge. And I'll tell you what, we got Cairo to sit in front of the fire for the film with the same camera that we shot the rest of the film with, so it fits within the film. That, if it had been done as part of the film set, we would have needed pyrotechnics, we would have needed fire crew, fire engines on standby, we would have needed extra security, we would have needed land permission, we would have needed permission from the council, and the council would have charged up to there, right? I estimated that it would have cost us £3,000 at a minimum to do that scene if we had done it properly, right? Instead, it cost us I don't know how much petrol it costs to get from Belper to Matlock, but that much petrol in a plug-in hybrid, so it was even less than what you might be thinking.
I bet Lee was thinking that, drive up, what sort of emergency is this? And just thinking, oh no, what's happening? And then just to find out, which is the best way. But the moral of the story, I'm guessing, is if you see an opportunity,
fake it till you make it, baby. Fake it till you make it, you know? If you sit there and let your mouth talk, right, good stuff comes out eventually. And then the good thing about editing is I can take that entire long bit of the talking, chop out the bad bits where it's just nonsense, keep the good stuff, because I've been really into the idea of quantity versus quality as of late, and people always go, ooh, focus on quality, not quantity. I'll tell you this, they've done experiments, right, where they had people make little paper mache sort of eggs, right? They had two groups. One group, they each had to make one egg in an hour. The other group had to make 100 eggs in an hour. And there was more than one egg in that group that had to make 100 eggs that were better than the group who only had to make one egg. There were more eggs. There'd be 10 eggs that were better. So obviously you got an awful lot of bad stuff that you got to sift through, right? But the good stuff, it's better. It's better, and you get more of it. So quantity works. It does work, although it can be quite draining.
I guess that ties into the point of, like, if you're starting out and you're trying to practice, do more, because if you do, say, 10 films instead of doing one film, and say 9 of them are of poor quality, but you get one of them, it's like, brilliant, like, you made a good film, and you have the lessons learned from 9 other films.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any bad film is wasted. Like, you're always going to learn something.
Yeah. I mean, the guy who made The Room, Tommy Wiseau, he made another film and it was better.
Yeah, but people haven't
People
liked
liked The Room because of its bad qualities, but on a legitimate level, that other film he made, which, sorry, I can't remember the name of it, was better. It was better than the first one, right? Because he learned stuff from his experiences.
And the thing is that you can, just with a post-apocalyptic thing, that you can really make something, like, especially going out in the middle of nowhere. The first example comes to mind is Mad Max, the original one with George Miller. Like, okay, yeah, he had a bigger budget because he worked as what was it, either a paramedic or an intensivist. But yeah, he got well paid for that, so he saved a lot for it. But he also used that experience into making the wounds from car accidents look really realistic. And a lot of, like, the first film and the second film, it was shot in the middle of nowhere. It was shot in a desert. All right, we're going to shoot in a desert.
We don't have one, sadly.
No,
couldn't afford one.
No, not. I mean, it nearest we have is quarries, but then again, Doctor Who sort of shown that, like, quarries can be a bit overused sometimes. But like, you're shooting in the desert, you don't need to CG, like, dilapidated buildings and that. The desert's already there.
Yeah.
The desert is there. Like, the outback is just, no one's going to be there. And to be honest, if you're living alone in the outback and all the nukes drop, you're not going to notice.
They didn't have permission to film on the roads for Mad Max.
Oh, wow.
But because Australia's so big, you might get one car coming every 3 days, right? So what they do, they just block the roads. Without any permission to do that, right? They blocked the roads and just did the filming. What council's going to show up and go, "Nah, mate, you can't be doing that"? I don't know what kind of Australian accent that was. But my point being, fake it till you make it. And I realise I might have just encouraged you to go out and do illegal stuff. And if you've done that, I'm not responsible, right? But I'm also not going to sit here and go, "Ooh, don't do drugs, kids," sort of thing.
But you're not going to say to kids, do drugs.
I'm just going to say, look at the drug. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't, go away. Essentially. It's up to you.
The Retrogem podcast neither condones... Well, these aren't the views of the Retrogem podcast, I think we should note.
I'm just saying, I had one look at Xanax. I thought, Jesus, I'm not going near that.
I mean, I think the one thing we can agree on is that drugs exist.
I don't agree. What proof have you got?
Well, you're an awful little bugger, aren't you? So, you do music. You mentioned you did music on Morrison Productions, but you're also doing the score on Scorched.
Don't worry about my music. Focus on the Scorched Earth score, right?
Go check out his music as well, because it's some good stuff there.
Do you see what I'm doing, right? I didn't even have to do self-promotion.
You see
if I self-defeat, other people do the self-promotion for me. See, it's tactics, right? But yeah, I did do the score, right? So what I did is I wanted to take a bit of a different direction from what I normally do, because normally I make a bit more sort of krautrock, psych rock sort of stuff, and I was getting a bit sick of it. So what I did, I decided packing in the metronome, I'm picking up the guitar, I learnt the G harmonic scale. I learnt the G minor scale, and I decided to just noodle. First time I noodled, I noodled to a backing track, which all the backing track was, I took 3 G minor chords, which were all just the same chord, like down, 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 reversed them, put them through a pull stretch effect, which essentially takes a 5-second clip, turns it into a 2-minute clip. 3 of them, 6 minutes, right? Add some reverb to that so it sounds all spacey and nice. Do the guitar solo over it, where I did a mental guitar solo, and I've sent it to him, and that's probably going in the film. I don't think he's given it the yes or no yet, but if you're watching this, you'll know. You can hear it if you want.
We need to have that meeting, but yeah, it's I know you've sent some music in, and a lot of it, like the weird stuff. Like one bit sounded like, I don't know, Kermit the Frog choking on a hot dog or something.
That's what most of my music sounds like, to be honest.
But it's like weird sounds like that. It's like, I don't know what that sound is.
Is
it's
it the
weird.
one with the backwards guitar?
I don't know if it was backwards
where
or
it
not.
kind of goes sort of thing.
I could just describe it like a frog.
Yeah, it was like that one.
Weird sounds like that just like work, especially with trying to do a score for something that just sounds a bit different.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, I detest orchestras. Right? If I hate orchestras. I don't hate orchestras as in, classical compositions. I hate the Marvel orchestra. I hate that. I just can't stand it. It's so boring, and I don't understand why big films are trying to appeal to young people with 200-year-old music. I'm not saying stick Eminem on there. I'm just saying something better.
Like we say, the views expressed by our guests do not reflect the views of the RetroGen podcast. I must affirm that again.
He likes orchestras.
If the music's good, the music's good in my views. Like, I went to one that was, it was like a live orchestra of different sci-fi music, and it was really great. You had ones from ones from Star Wars. You had 2001. You had ones from Star Trek. You had Jurassic Park, Interstellar.
Interstellar's not really an orchestra, though, is it?
Well, it is sort of, but the main thing is the organ.
I like organs, yeah.
Okay, so that gets the Morrison pass.
Organs are good. I have a lot of organs in my music. I like guitars. I like a bit of piano, but not too much piano. No solo piano, right? If you're gonna have solo piano, make the piano sound sad and like not dun dun.
Rachmaninoff? Do you like Rachmaninoff?
I like Rachmaninoff. Yeah, I like a bit of Mozart. All the basics. I'm not super into. I know my way around classical music, but I'm not so in depth that I can name anyone weird. Apart from Brahms, who probably isn't weird, but I think that the thing with Brahms is he invented the modern style of progression within music. I love is a movement in, I think it's C sharp major 4th movement. I think that's what it is. Don't quote me on that. But either way, it's brilliant. And if you go watch one of my films, which I'm not going to tell you which one, so you watch all of them, and you'll find that song. It's brilliant because it goes upwards. It's a constant progressing scale, and then it knows when to dip down when it needs to, and then go back up. I find like Mozart, I think he's just too obsessed with that going up and then go all the way down. Because Mozart was he was a bit of a troll as far as 1700s goes. He had one song where he had some woman he didn't like, so he decided to make a song where she had to sing really low and then really high, so she sounded like a chicken.
Yeah, I remember that story.
So,
like Rachmaninoff just feels like you're on the edge of a cliff, and you're just like being careful, trying not to fall over. So you're anxious about falling over. Then he just comes off and pushes you, and you're like, whoa, and you've got that like lurch forward, and then you have the anxiety of falling.
See, I'm a very crescendo based person. I like my crescendos. I like my builds, and I like when they actually go somewhere, which is why I'm not too fond of post rock, which I just feel is just build, end, and that's it. Or build, noise / just weird ambient silence, weird, and it's annoying. But I'll tell you what, there's none of that in the Scorched Earth soundtrack. If there's a crescendo, it's going somewhere. And if you don't hear it on the film itself because of timings and stuff, you will hear it on the score itself, which will be slightly structured slightly differently. Not in terms of the music, but in terms of, there'll be extended versions of songs, there'll be songs that aren't in the film, there'll be stuff like that.
So Scorched Earth, by the time you're listening to this, is out, and I think you should watch it. But in the meantime, what is next for you? What's on the horizon? What's
Well, I got to finish that film that I met Jethro on.
I can't wait to see that.
That's coming out, yeah. But the problem is it's got loads of weird visual effects, so it's taken ages. Putting out some more music. I'm thinking about becoming an electrician because the money's good. Yeah, basically that. If you need your electrics done in about 8 years, call me up. And what else? I'm not really doing many more Morrison Productions videos at the moment because I'm not monetized, but yet YouTube still puts adverts on my channel. So why should I bother? Why am I sitting around putting hard work, grafting, to make Google money? They've got enough money. So
yeah, but the more effort you put in, the more you get out.
Yeah, but I've been doing it for about 7 years. I'm only at 450 subscribers. I'm not, sitting here being, "Ooh, I'm so successful. Look at me." I don't want to be like that. I know I can talk a big game, but I'm not a big game. If that makes sense. So
no, you are a humble man, and I respect you for that. But I also think you're underselling yourself.
Well, if they're interested, they can go watch it.
Yeah, you should.
Do they like this? Do you like this? If you want more of it, then there's more of it. If you don't like it, YouTube gives you about 6 billion hours of video a day, so go watch one of them. There's bound to be something good in there.
If you don't want to watch anything on Morrison Productions, you can check out more on the RetroGen Media channel. If you click down below, there'll be plenty more of other stuff I would appreciate. And if you want to say hi, don't be a stranger.
I would say it's compulsory to watch his videos.
I mean, I wouldn't disagree, but I also...
You have to edit them, don't you? So it is compulsory for you.
Oh, yeah.
So
you've seen every single one of your videos?
Wait, sadly, yes.
Of course you've done.
Even the bad ones.
Well,
I've had to see them multiple times.
Well, same for me. I've seen all of them, especially ones that are like, oh, okay, come on.
Yeah. Those are the ones that you should watch first, because if you watch his best videos first, then it's all downhill. That's my motto with things. Whenever I find a new artist I like, I don't seek out the best stuff. I seek out sort of the more middling stuff. Get an idea of, okay, that's what he's about. Okay, cool. If Pink Floyd, for instance, I got into Pink Floyd. I didn't start off with Dark Side of the Moon. Why would I start off with that? It's meant to be their best album, right? I started off with Source Full of Secrets, which was just sort of known as it's okay, yeah, give it a shot. Thought, if I like that, then I get to look forward to Dark Side of the Moon, which is meant to be way better. So, yeah, that's my sort of way of looking at it. So
are you going to make a playlist of all the Morrison Productions content rated from worst to best?
To be honest, I've got one at the moment, which is best to worst. I just stick that in reverse, and there you go.
Okay.
It's only best to worst because I've stuck the biggest stuff that takes the most effort at the top, because I want you to go see that. But that's because I've put the effort into it. I mean, I've spent 4 years on a short film, which was a mistake. Not making the short film, but spending 4 years on it. So, yeah, I reckon go watch that. Go watch Cheap and Easy. I'm doing a bit of self-promotion there. Go watch that. If you don't watch that, then, you might like Four Lions. That's a good film. I have nothing to do with it, neither did he.
What? No, I was about to say, what, you made 4 lines?
No, but I like it. It's a good
film.
Oh,
okay.
I like The World's End. I think that's the best of the Cornetto trilogy. Watch that.
Did you make that?
No.
Oh.
I was about 14 when that came out. Mm-hmm. If you're watching this and you're not in your early 20s, you're probably sitting there going, "Oh, you made me feel old now." So sorry about that. To make reprimands, we are going to send you an apology note via email.
Thank you very much for watching, and thank you, Josh, for being a guest on the RetroGen podcast. And yeah, Scorched Earth. Yeah. Check it out if you want to. Check out the trailer if you're not too sure. And yeah, you should. see you next time, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, I'd like to be back on this. This is quite fun.
I'd like to hear you back on
yeah,
this.
cheers for having me on this.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
Well, no, thank you.
No worries. It'll be in a different house because my granddad will be back, so we can't use that then.
Or would it be in person? We might do it over Zoom. We might do it on...
I don't want to do it over Zoom.
All right, so we won't do it over Zoom.
Because you see them, and that's just, what's the point?
Okay, so we won't do it over Zoom.
So.
But, yeah, we'll do this again. So, yeah, Joshua Morrison from Morrison Productions. Link will be in the description below. And I'll see you later.
Bye.